The year is 2009. A question is asked to the users of the Something Awful forum, challenging them to create unsettling or unnerving images using ordinary photographs, and share their creations with the community. Users got to work immediately, sharing their edits on the board, discussing their works, and spinning stories around them. It was a good time. A creative little corner of the internet, doing what it did best. That wasn't until June 10th of that same year, when a user by the name Victor Surge posted 2 black and white images of children playing on a playground. Except if you looked closely, lurking in the background of each photo was what appeared to be a tall, white, featureless figure, arms outstretched and watching. Accompanying the images were 2 captions. "We didn't want to go. We didn't want to kill them, but its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time." One of 2 recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day 14 children vanished, and for what is referred to as the slenderman, deformity cited as film defects by officials. Fire at library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence. Photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June 13th, 1986. Not long after, those images spread across the internet to forums, blogs, YouTube videos, and creepypastas. The legend of the Slenderman was born. Now I'll spare you the details. The Slenderman story has been well covered over the years, with thousands of videos dedicated to the tall, pale creature. There isn't much left to add, but the question I want to ask today is, what happened to the other photos, the other submissions, the ones uploaded to that same board that never got the same traction, drowned out by the Slenderman craze, and now, 16 years later, have been forgotten to time. So today I thought, why not go back? Using the Wayback Machine, we can actually view the original thread just as it appeared in 2009 and take a look at what everybody else was making. What made Slenderman stand out from the crowd? Was the Photoshop that much better? The lore more carefully constructed? Was it just luck? What made Slenderman Slenderman? Here are the forgotten Slenderman photos. Taking a look at the first photo, we are told by OP that it's an alleged picture of Bigfoot or some other hairy creature, spotted by a friend while on a hike with his girlfriend. A friend of mine from work was telling me about what happened to a guy named Adam that goes to the same church as he does. It seems that Adam and his girlfriend Dina were hiking in the Siskiyou National Forest in Northern California, and they stopped for lunch in a particularly nice spot when they heard a noise that sounded like twigs snapping from the other side of a rocky outcrop. They decided to go back the way they came, thinking they may have came across a bear or something, since there was a heavy, musky scent in the air, when they heard a low, grunting kind of sound. Just as Adam said, "I think we should go back," there was a loud crash, like something running through the bushes. When Dina looked back as they were walking away, she saw something that made her raise up her camera and snap a picture. And this is what she saw, only 25 to 30 feet away. At first glance, the photo and story are pretty convincing, but the details start to fall apart the moment you look closer. Adam claims the creature was only 25 to 30 feet away, yet in the image it appears significantly closer than that. And rather than crashing through the bushes like described in the story, the creature is clearly mid-stride in an open area, doing what appears to be that classic Bigfoot walk. Then there's the pine tree. There's a fully grown pine tree sitting right at the creature's feet. And if you use that as a size reference, this thing would have to be well over 100 meters tall. Also, the behavior of Adam and Dina. They heard this creature heading towards them, and their response was to walk away and wait and take photos. I'm going to be honest, but if something that size is moving in my direction, I'm not strolling out calmly. I'm getting out of there as fast as I can. To be fair to the creator, the Photoshop itself isn't bad. The creature blends into the environment naturally and doesn't feel jarringly out of place. Even the blurriness is explained as her taking out her camera really fast. Shown this in 2009, I probably would have bought it. But that's exactly the problem, and it has nothing to do with the edit itself. Even by 2009, Bigfoot was already one of the most scrutinized cryptids in the history of urban legends. The very photograph this image seems to be modeled after the famous Patterson-Gimlin film still, and was already in deep controversy and widely suspected to be a hoax. So while this was one of the stronger submissions on a technical level, it was working against itself from the start. You can't build a new legend on top of a story the internet has already made up its mind about. Bigfoot was already a told story, and an unconvincing one at that. I'm going to put photo number 2 and 3 together, because they're essentially the same entries. Alleged ghost sightings in older pictures. User LeechCode5 uploaded this photo with the caption, "Alright, take my photo and fake story." Now I don't know if the story got deleted, but I wasn't able to find it at all. Which is quite unfortunate because taking a look at the photo, and yeah, it's not the best. I'm not saying it's a bad Photoshop, but it looks like you just slapped a picture of your uncle onto an open landscape and increased the opacity. Not bad for the time, but it's definitely a picture. Who knows though, there's a chance the story could have been a masterpiece, rivaling Shakespeare, but sadly, we'll never get to hear it, as it's lost to time. The next photo was uploaded by user Henry, without a caption. Now this photo is pretty generic as well. Creepy black and white image, semi-transparent figure. We've seen it 1,000 times, and done better. You can barely even make out the ghost. Here it is, by the way, if you couldn't find it. And I wasn't even going to include this one, but user Onita Bass called it the best one uploaded to the forum. So I figured I'd throw it in and let you guys decide. But ghosts aren't exactly new to the horror genre, and the biggest issue, one that Bigfoot and ghosts actually have in common, is that now everything is being recorded. Like, everything. And at first that sounds great, right? You think once we finally get Bigfoot or a ghost on video, there's no way anyone could deny their existence. But all it really did was show us how they're probably not real. Because after all this time, there's still not a single definitive ghost sighting caught on tape. And somehow, even after 15 years, nobody has managed to record Bigfoot on anything with a quality above 144p. My personal theory, he's radioactive. That's why every time someone brings a camera near him, the footage looks like it was shot on a potato. Anyway, I only include these two to ask one question. Should they have been the ones to become great urban legends? Should it have been Bigfoot and ghosts instead of Slenderman? That's all I've got for these two. Nothing too special. Let's move on. Alright, for this picture I'm going to show you it first, because when I first looked at it, I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be looking at. But when you're told, it's really easy to notice. But I don't know, I think I might just be dumb. First, this is the caption that came with the picture. So, I'm not sure if this counts because it's not really paranormal, so much as spooky or weird. But I think it's an elaborate Photoshop someone was playing on me. Before I was laid off, I worked for a newspaper, and I was going through some of the archived negatives from the newspaper's past to do some promotional work on the website. I was going through some of the slides marked circa 1920 and came across one that really freaked me out. And here's the photo. I'll give you 5 seconds before explaining the image to see if you can find out what OP was originally talking about. Upon first glance, I thought it was a woman in the background. Her face is quite blurry and out of place, especially compared to the other passengers who don't seem to have that same distortion. But that wasn't it. I then thought it was those two men since they look almost identical. But that wasn't right either. So deciding I needed some help, I went into the comments. User Budug187 reveals that it was actually this guy right here. The one that kind of looks like Elvis Presley. He looks a little sad and is staring out the window. His clothing doesn't quite match the era this photo was supposedly taken in. And more importantly, it looks like he's got wired earphones in, listening to music. Either that or he's a doctor. And yeah, people didn't exactly have iPods in the 1920s, hindsight's 2020, and once you know what you're looking for, It's pretty obvious, but credit where it's due. Shout out to Extra Noise because this is a seamless Photoshop. I genuinely couldn't tell what had been added until someone had pointed it out. I was staring at this for a solid 15 minutes. And that's kind of why something like Slenderman works, where time travel doesn't. Because Slenderman doesn't give you options. You can't negotiate with it, you can't outthink it, you can't go back and avoid the moment you first saw it. It just is. Silent, and already behind you. The horror works because you are completely without leverage. Time travel hands you leverage. The second it enters the story, your brain starts problem solving. And a problem solving audience is not a scared audience. You're not dreading what comes next. You're drafting solutions. Slenderman also lives in ambiguity. The less you know about it, the worse it gets. Every explanation makes it smaller. Time travel is the opposite. The more rules you add, the more interesting it becomes. It wants to be understood. It rewards the audience for paying attention. It works for sci-fi novels and conspiracy theories, but for horror, not so much. And to add to Extra Noise's credit, I don't think he was ever going for scary. Just weird. A detail that doesn't add up, and a guy who looks a little too comfortable somewhere where he shouldn't be. And honestly, that's better. Some things don't need to be horror. Sometimes, weird is enough. So this next entry is a bit different, as it's not actually a picture, but a YouTube video. The video was uploaded in 2009, and it's about 8 minutes long, and the title is something I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, but if you flip it upside down, you can just about make out the word Ender, which raises the question, is this a reference to Minecraft's Enderman? Maybe even Slenderman? No? Okay, moving on. The video opens with grainy footage of a computer screen, which is a genuinely creepy touch, though it's hard to tell if it was intentional or because this was recorded in 2009. The computer appears to be displaying some kind of building layout, but honestly, it just reminds me of the FNAF map. After about a minute and a half, the video cuts to what looks like a screen with images flashing in rapid succession. It's heavily edited, and I genuinely couldn't tell what I was supposed to be looking at. That goes on for a majority of the video, before transitioning to someone driving down a highway. And then it just ends. Pretty terrifying stuff, I know. But seriously, I have no idea what I was supposed to take away from this. Let's take a look into the comments and see if anyone has an idea. I guess not. Looking at the channel though, the creator seems to have posted multiple videos in this same style, going all the way back to 2009, with uploads as recent as 2 years ago. My guess is, this was some kind of ARG that never quite got the attention OP was hoping for. The video we watched was actually his most viewed, sitting at around 15,000. But that's just a guess. I don't have time to go through every upload. And honestly, that's kind of the perfect note to end on for this entry, because it brings us back to the same point. This is a genuinely interesting concept. The grainy footage, the cryptic editing, the suggestion of something bigger happening beneath the surface. The bones of something great are here. But without a clear entry point, without giving the audience something to hold on to, it just drifts. You watch it, you shrug, and you move on. That balance, giving people just enough to be hooked, but leaving enough mystery to keep them guessing, is incredibly hard to get right. And out of everything circulating on the internet at that time, Slenderman got it right. Just enough detail to feel real, just enough ambiguity to feel dangerous, never so much that the mystery collapsed under its own weight. And that's what separated it from everything else. That's why 15 years later, we're still talking about it. So this picture is actually my favorite. The Photoshop itself isn't the best. There's something about the vibe of it. The silhouette of the creature, the atmosphere, I was genuinely feeling it. It actually reminds me of one of those cane pixel entities, specifically the one that kept on scaring Wendigo. On first impression, it looks like some dark hulking creature, hairy, broad, with what appears to be a human face. And honestly, my mind just started racing. Maybe it's some kind of failed experiment. Someone trying to engineer the strength of a bear into a man. Something goes wrong, it escapes, and now it's out there roaming the Pacific Northwest. I was building a whole story in my head. I was really vibing with this one. At least I was, until I read the caption, which just said Bigfoot. And sure, I guess, I still like it. Out of everything we looked at today, this is the one I think had a real shot. If any of these pictures could have become something, could have built the kind of following Slenderman did, it was this one. Only if someone had put in the effort, given it a story, given it a name that wasn't already attached to hundreds of other blurry photos that went nowhere. Because looking at it from a distance, that silhouette, the eyes, it genuinely looks like something out of modern analog horror. A man-bear hybrid lurking in the tree line. It had potential, but instead it got labeled as another Bigfoot sighting and quietly, like the rest, forgotten to time. And that's kind of the tragedy of it. Also, by the way, the more you look at it, it's clearly just a generic bear photo. I'm pretty sure I even found the original. But honestly, that's kind of the theme of everything we looked at today. A blurry photo, a sad guy on a subway, a ghost you can barely see, interesting conversation starters, sure, but not much else. At the end of the day, it's a lot of build-up for very little payoff. You're left with more questions than answers. And I think that's exactly what separates Slenderman from all of it. Because what made Slenderman work wasn't that it gave you nothing, it's that it gave you just enough. You knew what he looked like, you knew he was tall, faceless, and that children went missing around him. But beyond that, nothing. No origin, no rules, no explanation for what he was or what he wanted. And that gap, that space between what you know and what you don't, is where the horror lives. Fanfiction too, but mostly horror. The other posts we looked at today either gave you too little to care about or too much to be scared of. Slenderman threaded that needle perfectly, just enough to feel real, just enough to feel dangerous, but never so much that the mystery died. That's not easy to do. And I think that's why, out of everything circulating on the internet at that time, it was Slenderman that stuck. And while there were other pictures that I came across, they were all the same. Even more Bigfoot sightings or ghosts in the background of otherwise normal pictures, which you could definitely tell were photoshopped, like really noticeable. I mean, this guy's wig is the scariest part of this photo. But to end this video off, I'll leave it to you guys. Which one was your favorite? And which did you think was as good as Slenderman? If any at all, please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and please leave a sub as well if you enjoyed the video. I have quite a few video ideas that I'm working on that I think you guys would be interested in, and I'm excited to see where this whole YouTube thing takes me. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.